So someone asks, what are some defining features of the condom class? Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a class people need to get to know because they're constantly misrepresenting themselves. Like people that are only on their own side, that's something people need to understand. People only on their own side while professing to be moral, upstanding, social, concerned, moral people. So it's covert, right? The condom is a great metaphor because it has so many different uses. So many different uses. It's not just for screwing people over. Some people bring condoms with them uh, to keep things dry, for example, or keep things separate. So they use the pretense of morality to keep them from appearing to be the condom class. They also, again, synthetic. What do we need to look like? What do we need to say? What do people want us to say? Let's do some polling on that and then say that. So you really only catch that they're disingenuous over time because they appear to be even good people. See, they are really shooting for the appearance of goodness. But the only thing they consider good is that they can get away with what they want to get away with, and that includes attacking people they think are out to get them, like paranoid maniacs, even if they're not, because they just consider that to be sensible, and so that's what they do. So a lot of, yeah, mafia families, there's some books about them, how they operate, and how they think. And it's everything for them and nothing for anyone else. Or if they have to pay somebody something, it's just the fee. It's the cost of doing business. If they could keep that fee low to zero, that would be optimal for them. But as little as possible, they'll bargain if they can. What? I murdered, I don't know, 100,000 people. What do I gotta pay to make that go away? Who can do that? How do we do that? Do we gotta rewrite the books? Oh God, do I have to pay? I don't know, $100 million and takes a decade? Well, geez, that's just what I'm gonna do then. But it really just depends on the scale of crime that the condom class, wherever you are, might be involved in. Now, at this point, it's a global situation, so that sort of changes the scale of Rome, doesn't it? It really makes them look very small in comparison. Also, the crimes associated with that, and then the lies, like, big lying and then small lying, and what level of lying is corporate pollution on, like globo, alternative reality, mind rot, pollution, censorship of the truth. What level of crime would you put that on? Now, see, if you're just a normal, common, vulgar person, hey, what sports are on TV? That's where your mind is at. So, most people don't think about things like this. Now, if you're a really smart, sensitive, intelligent person, you could go crazy thinking about things like this, like the level of crimes that have been committed in the last several decades. It's just off the charts. It's mind blowing. I like to come back to that term because it's just something people shut down, like their brains turn into cognitive soup just thinking about the level of crimes and the victims of crimes that are just horrifying by anyone who had even a modicum of humanity. For the victims, that the victimized are victimized. But see, victimizers don't have that, so that defines them. So not giving a damn about victims that they victimize, which I would say that's subnormal, or some people would say supernormal. It depends how delusional you are. See, if there is no God, if there's just this world, or if God is always on your side, because they think so, like an egotist does, they can do no wrong, then what would a person like that do? Or what would they be capable of doing? Could they lie to both sides and just be in it for themselves? What do you want? What does this person want to hear? Okay, tell them that. What does that person want to hear? Tell them that, and then do this instead. With global kinds of considerations, like it's just better for us long term to screw everyone over, but not appear to be doing that kind of operation. Could it happen? It's just conjecture. Of course, these people are really veritable, playing both sides, all sides that they can, and of course they're not bad people. That's the other people, the bad people. See, flip, flip, flip. I read one of the things about people that are subjected to that type of terrorism, psychological terrorism over time, is that they, like Stockholm Syndrome, internalize these things, and then they think they're a bad person, or people that would stand up for themselves are bad people. And basically, they think that the people are credible that keep doing it to them. And they can't ever get out of that. They're just stuck in that type of sackcloth and ashes existence. And that gets seeded off. That seems to legitimize what they initially thought about themselves in the first place. See how that can sort of change reality in a demented kind of way. How's it not true? People believe it. Look at what we did to them. Now they believe it too. Are we not, do we not have God on our side? Yeah, what God would be on that side? Well, egotists think that the God is always on their side. Narcissists, yeah. Malignant narcissistic personality type. And then add schemerism, as much schemerism as they can accomplish. Like I said, playing both sides. That's pretty schemerous, wouldn't you say? But not, of course, not presenting themselves. That's pretty schemerous. That's beyond the normal level. So condom class, did they do it? Where's the evidence? They didn't leave any fluids behind, did they? It's just a bunch of dead bodies. Not just a bunch. Mounds, heaps, entire cultures destroyed. So condom class and poids and roids, that's sort of what makes up hybrid war, undeclared ones, because declaring it would be honest, wouldn't it? That's what they used to do back in a more honest age. We have officially declared war. Here's the write-up from our leader to your leader. Now everybody knows what's happening. They don't see the point in doing that. And also, military conflict, these are not brave people. They are as bunkered away as they could be. They have their slaves, their fancy slaves that surround them. They have conformity tests out the wazoo, or in the wazoo, depending on how you want to look at it. See, those Fordians, they always pick up on the most vulgar kinds of analogies and projections and meanings, because they're really that kind of person. Who would come up with a kind of metaphysics like that isn't so metaphysical if you're not subnormally vulgar in the first place. So how it happened, who done it, how do people become that way, or groups? Well, it could be a cycle of violence. It could itself be one of those things that they had that done to them and now they do it to others, kind of thing. Could be like that. And reducing their worldview just to the world. Well, there is no God, really. There's just taking what you can get away with. And it's easier to take things when you cheat, right? When you don't do it the right way. Don't do it the hard way. Don't do it the legitimate way. How about this, the karma improving way? Because that's all nonsense. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Maybe they do know everything like they think they do. Maybe they don't. But see, a malignant narcissist doesn't usually get into philosophy too much, even if they think they know everything there is to know about philosophy. Don't need that. What? I just take what I want and look what I got. That's the end of their philosophy. Seems pretty convincing, doesn't it? Does so to them. And they're perpetually convinced of their abilities and what type of abilities they are and at what cost. See, the cost only, if you do the big numbers, you realize, whoa, this is a loser. It's a big loser here. You got, what, a handful of billionaires and millions of people living in a hybrid war. Is that worth it? I think the big guy upstairs doesn't think so, but that's conjecture on my part. What would religious people think about that one? But yeah, generally they're not religious, or again, if they're religious, it's a warped kind of religious understanding that gives them a lot of options, gives the narcissist full impunity in this plane to do whatever they want to whoever they want, but of course within the parameters of what they think is proper and what isn't. And some people don't think lying to others is improper. And if it's the way they got what they got, then they're probably not going to stop doing that. Because it is what made them what they are. But of course, people don't like to think that people do bad things and get away with it and are successful. So people tend to airbrush what they're dealing with instead of seeing clearly that they're dealing with, again, dishonest brokers. That's harder to deal with. Because what would you do? Would you stop working with dishonest brokers? Well, good people do. But most people aren't good, are they? Because this is a garbage disposal dimension where counterintuitively so-called successful people end up in the worst places imaginable in a metaphysical sense. And a lot of good people get caught up in their nets. The devil done got them. Because as much as sing-songy roidist would have it, it's not just God in this dimension that is active. Certainly not in a worldly or a delusional sense. How would that be possible? What theologian can square that circle for you? Oh, it's so much easier. Love, love, love. Everything's fine. That little dog at the table, everything's on fire. Everything's fine. Gaslight, gaslight, gaslight yourself. You can do it. People, especially super subnormal, vulgar people, do it all the time. Those bubbles bubbling up in the little hot tubs they're in, they like to sniff those. They don't wave their hands and hold their breath. No, they imbibe in their own supply. So, yeah, condom class. Stinky. It's great when that condom doesn't break and it doesn't seep out and give anyone syphilis. Doesn't rub off on them. But that doesn't happen all the time, does it? Not where you got a bunch of them effing over everybody they can. Every which way but loose. So, yeah, it's not a great time. Not great kinds of people, and that's why we can't have great things. Oh, why is the field trashed? Why? Why is there a burnt up car here and dead bodies all over the place? Why? It was such a nice place. Just even a year ago. Why? You can see, you could just keep going like that. See, I could do a whole movie. Pilmy just walks around. The only word he says is why. Like it's almost like a silent film. Walks through life and just is confronted with one hideous atrocity after the next, especially on a cultural level that isn't considered to exist by Prigozhinism. And then he just says why. There's like a close-up on his face, like in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You get the eyes, give it a long couple of seconds. Something uncomfortable for Sappy Sally's. And then he just says why. Yeah, most people don't want the truth. Can't handle the truth. I like that one. Just keep hearing that one. Can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth about bad people presenting themselves as good ones, can you? Most likely you can't. Most people don't want to deal with that. Who can blame them? Nobody wants to deal with people like that. But that doesn't make them not exist. So condom class, the devil done got them. And if they get you, then the devil done got you too. At least here, in the here, but not in the there. And not in the here now. Like, if you're in prison for a trumped up charge, do they really got you? They just got your body. Is that it? See, I think that's sort of the key. I think that's what, for example, the life of Jesus teaches us. They can take your body, but they can never take your spirit. They can never take your mind. Although now, I mean, again, if you consider his life, he got privileged treatment. Whereas today, it's a full-on genocidal, socio-cultural, and economic program. And that shouldn't be so surprising to people. Like, North Africa was extremely civilized thousands of years ago. Where did all those people go? How did that happen? Oh, it's a big mystery. Well, might have had something to do with the things I just mentioned. Because when you start getting into complex sociological kinds of dynamics, that's what can happen in this dirty, devilish realm when you get old school condom classists in play. Feel like they got nothing holding them back from success, and that's what success looks like, is a desert with some ragtag undesirable people bouncing around, scheming and plotting how they can wreck the other factions. So we'll see. I think there's still a lot of room for optimism. I think especially on an individual level. See, just like defilements might fill the self from time to time, you can maintain those distinctions. Okay, here we had a defilement. Here we had a couple of decades of just total stupidity and vulgarity and subnormal conditions, and now we're just going to change that. The old diner with the cockroaches, just burn that down. Who cares? Where is it located? Nobody cares anyway. Nobody's going to be going back to it. The people that lost that, that's really stunk for them, didn't it? And they definitely did experience a lot of stinky things. That's just one of them. But yeah, goodness is somewhat of an anomaly in this realm. So when you do encounter real goodness, do appreciate it. And do show some gratitude, because experiencing good things in this realm is an anomaly. It's not a norm. And appreciate it. And again, give thanks and praise, but don't expect it. You shouldn't be expecting anything, especially not in a hybrid war, except a lot of hatred, right? A lot of asymmetric activity, a lot of blocked and eliminated opportunity, a lot of disdain. And when you have those types of expectations and there's a day goes by where you're not being chumped on some level, it's a great day. And being smart here, what's being smart here? You're being chumped? Really? What do you think's going to happen? When you were born, did they tell you were going to die? When you figured that out, did you feel chumped? Because if you didn't, you should have. You got shortchanged in a way. Although in this life you can learn a lot and do a lot of good things anyway. And that does matter, that does count. Really, that's the only thing that matters. You experience a lot of adversity. You should be grateful for that. It does define you. And you get through it, and you also do not put claims on worldly things in a worldly way. You accumulate great karma during this lifetime. That is its own reward. And the reward is much bigger than worldly people put on it. Even though condom class Denzins thinks that's being a chump. Who's really the chumps? Take a look at that. Nero dressed up as the Pharaoh. Is that a chump? Does that look like a chump to you? It does to me. Whole thing about it, just the longer you look at it, if you don't realize how horrible that whole situation really was, like the karma of that dude, man, you can just start, it just starts getting funnier and funnier if you like to laugh at atrocious people. Me, I don't laugh really at atrocities. I've sort of gotten beyond it. I think if you laugh at those things, something's wrong with you. But you might have an outburst, like when it just looks goofy to you, and then you start laughing, but then it starts to seep in. You can change. That's not all that bad of karma, actually. It's not as bad as the other kind. So yeah, the condom class, I guess they're going to be around for a while. They have been around for a while. So, put your peepers on, people. You need a new pair of bifocals that lets you see through that opaque film that is between the real thing and the purported thing. But once you got those, you put them on. Oh, okay. Saying this, but doing that. And who's getting taken for a ride? I guess it's everyone except them. But only in worldly terms. Spiritual terms, it's an ongoing source of noble humor. Here's a thought also, coming back to practice, because you see, you can get into the worldly, but then you can also get out of it. And Anapanasati, or counting the breath, has counting in it. So how about, if the breath isn't enough, how about interpreting whatever magical environment you find yourself in? And really every environment is magical. See, we're just so jaded and we're so habitualized into normal life, common life, vulgar life, we don't realize or notice the magic around us. How about the magic of numbers? So you don't want to count the breath. Count something that is around you. Maybe it is a flock of birds. Maybe it is the street number you're on. Maybe it is the number of pencils or pebbles at your feet. Wow, look at this. There's 5 pebbles at my feet. What does the number 5 mean? Is 5 made up of 2 plus 3 equals 5? What does 2 mean? What does 3 mean? And then 2 plus 3, what does that mean? And then, okay, 5 pebbles at my feet. What about, the 7 birds? 7 plus 5. Then I get to 12, right? So 12, that's a number. Has a lot of magical significance to it. And then you could also equate it possibly to the runes. 12 is 1 and a 2. So that is the first and second rune. That would be Fihu and Uruz. That's pretty powerful. You've got mobile, dynamic power plus vitality. So you can start seeing numbers like runes. And that's just another alternative. So take your environment, take a different perspective on the environment. If you're stuck in your mind somewhere, if you're stuck in an attitudinal, then use numbers. See, it's always an abstraction. Abstract the material things you're looking at and then imbue it with some kind of magical significance. And that's an art, not a science. See, that's sort of the art of numbers. Now here's something from my Americans trying to figure things out. Look, take every one of those black flags off the flag poles. POWs, like missing in action, or was it MIA? That whole organization's a Russian thing, I'm willing to bet. Just read the fine print. It's like if 84,000 Americans or something are missing in action, and until we find every last one of them, America has lost. What kind of statement is that? That's ridiculous. Get that black flag off the flagpole. We haven't lost nothing. And we ain't gonna lose. And we didn't lose. But coming back to Kissinger, somebody who negotiated with the Chinese and they think they're looking for someone like him, that wasn't the right negotiator. That's actually the opposite. If the enemy thinks that he was a great person and they need to find more like him, I'm willing to bet he screwed everyone except himself. But then finally he screwed himself in the end, because that mofo getting a pitchfork down there in the inferno called hell. How about not betraying people for your own personal interests? Is that a concept? Apparently he didn't understand, or anybody who thought he was a great person. So you can get 500 people together and some cameras and put together some type of atrocity propaganda that makes you look like a hero, but was he that? Were the people who are still clapping heroes, or they still looking for missing people? Or maybe they missed those 50,000. How many people died in that conflict? It was for nothing. or got some serious psychological or physical disability, let me know. You think these people are heroes? I'm willing to bet they aren't. Chinese don't think so. Or no, they think they're real heroes from their side, from their perspective. And throw in BlackRock and Goldman Sachs, why don't you? And maybe Lehman Brothers, because that was 2008. So those housing prices, that property bubble, I don't see that as heroic either. And the people working themselves to death, they got played, didn't they? Or are played. But my program, guess what? Your house, you have it, you're in it, you own it. I don't want no payment from you. What I do want, though, is fidelity, honor, civility, dignity, and respect. So if you don't got that, you're not on this team. But if you do, then you can be on this team. But look, things are crazy right now and have been for decades. So keep your head on a swivel. But as far as I'm concerned, we haven't lost. And if we lost some people, we'll find them again. But if we can't find them, if they're dead, well, we just gotta let the dead be dead, don't we? Can't be focused on any type of losses or fakes or whatever the other side can throw at us. Oh, let's focus on this gut-wrenching mistake forever. No, I think we're just gonna let that. We're gonna cut bait, aren't we? We got more where that came from, and we ain't gonna do the stupid thing next time. And if we do, we're gonna cut bait on that, and we're gonna do something else. This here United States, it was an amazingly wonderful creation. And the people that made it happen, they will live forever in the hearts of heroes. And even today, even the remnants, even after they knocked the damn sense out of us on every level, the stuffing out of us, the remnants, they shall shine forever, and we shall shine into the future. They haven't licked us. They think they have. That's how ridiculous they are. This is just round 154, so we're going into it. We got a handicap, but let me tell you, with that fighting spirit, we're going to knock them the hell out. They don't even know what they're looking at right now. And all that spit and whatever else in the bucket, we got new people coming in. We got old people going out, feet first. So don't ever give up on that idea. George Washington was and is a hero. And we got heroes inbound. We got heroes right here, right now. And this world, they thought they ended Western civilization. No, we're just going to reinvent it without them. That's what we're going to do. And whatever damages, we're going to repair them. We're going to reinvent everything that needs to be reinvented to be the best that we can be. Because that's what we are on this damn planet. That's what our forefathers were, and that's what we are, and that's what the future shall be. So help us God. I almost forgot. God bless America. God bless the United States. And God bless every last one of you. You matter more than you could even possibly know. In bad times, endure. In good times, prosper. And we were victorious, we are victorious, and we shall ever be victorious. So help us, God. Amen. And these damn culture jammers or neo-East Germans, however the hell, corporate robots, you want to understand them, roids and poids, just diss them. Again, cut bait, stay flexible, stay chilly out there, okay? This here dimension never was meant to be perfect. And Semper Fi means something. It always has meant something. And some people, look, some battles are going to be lost. That's just the nature of the beast. But we know what heroes look like. We know how they act. And heroes don't just take a bullet, by golly, but the opposite of that. Sometimes they got to be in the bush, in the mud, in the heat for a while to get that there victory. And there are some damn people out there that do know how to appreciate that, and I'm one of them. So be one of those too. This country ain't going nowhere but up. Thank you. As for an eccentric, esoteric side note, I equate the Fool's card with Manes. And Manes is also associated with the number 20, so you have 2, which would be Urus. And then we see the 0. The 0, a state of eternal recurrence. That's the human dimension in many ways, is it not? But the Fool is a hero, even though he's delusional, because delusion is a state that humanity is prone to. And how could that not be the case when you're born as a baby without any memories of the past? You start over. Start at 0. But see, a lot of people work their way into delusion further. They become more foolish. See 2 zeros in F and L. Say the beginning is F, or wisdom can go through those 2 loops, and you come out transformed. F being Ansus, L being Lagus. Lagus, trifectorate, ice, water, steam, breath. And then there's the term foolhardy. Foolhardy. Well, that also means bold. So boldness is heroic. Now you can be heroic in foolish things, like something that is finally delusional. But someone who plays the fool, but is aware of playing the fool, such as the jester, a professional fool, someone who is aware of foolishness in oneself and others, has transcended the role in a otherworldly way, one could say, which is where we see the reemergence of Manus and the gift that is inherent to human existence, which is to come out better than you came in, but better in the sense of spiritual development, spiritual wisdom, spiritual attainment. Now, of course, foolish worldly people say, well, that doesn't exist. That's just malarkey. But if it does exist, if we just entertain the thought, and let's just say it does exist, then that wouldn't be so foolish, would it? Another wonderful, magical, absolutely spectacular thing that fools, real ones, like the jesters, the professional fools, can do is make people laugh. And not just laugh at others, that's pretty common and normal, but to laugh at themselves, that's the ultimate achievement. That is also the opposite of what being a fool is. And so, to the extent that the jester appears foolish to you, who rolled off a turnip truck, whether you wear a crown, fancy clothes, or have many certificates to your name, to that extent that the jester appears foolish to you, is the extent to your own damn foolishness. Now picture me in a multicolored, glowing costume, doing a reverse somersault in slow motion through the air, with nothing in the middle, in a perfect circle that just keeps scaling out to encompass all of the universe. And as you try to make sense of all of the symbols and insignias, metals and priceless jewels, I pass out of sight and disappear, with the faint sound of tinkling bells and laughter. Not a god, just a here. Oh. At the junction of Gi Bo. But coming back to Orwell for a second, yeah, one of his more disturbing metaphors at the end was when he was being tortured, that you asked him, well, what is the plan? Like, what is your whole point of being a condom classist? And I think the answer came back, just imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. That's what we want. Now, see, don't take that literally. Just look at all of their cultural atrocities, like the events that they politically gerrymandered themselves into and then captured, and then sort of like the French Olympics opening ceremony. That's the cultural boot in the face of the West that the Sino-Soviet and the condom class and their brokers and interlocutors, what do you call it? Interlopers have decided. So essentially, look, any captured cultural event which is being run by cultural war criminals, CWCs, in disguise in the West, it's a cultural atrocity. So what they're doing is they're just documenting that. That's the way to see it. Like, and think about it. If you're not there, if you don't have to go through that, they have to go through that. So essentially, they're stamping themselves in their own faces. So how about the karma of that? So just laugh. No, culture people, we curate things. So we go back through the stacks and we find things that are worth contemplating or interacting with, sans cultural war criminals. And it's just the nature of the beast. When you're living in a politically retrograde or destructive time that has a cultural component to it, then this is what you're forced to do. But see, forced. Are you really forced? And then just think, well, just like in a 95-5 society where 5% of the people run off with the riches, in cultural terms, it's the opposite. 5% of cultural people are probably worth a damn. and 95% aren't, especially the ones that think they're worth a damn and commandeer venues and institutions, capture institutions and invert them using critical theory. So critical theory is something, if anybody uses any bit of that and you can identify it, you're dealing with a cultural war operator and a cultural war criminal. So, and it's open to any Prigozhinist willing to take the money, so there's not really any real identifiers, although there's historical, you could say, operators and just people, criminal classes that gravitated towards that because of reasons. You had to sort of be an outsider to adopt that position in the first place and not be invested in the people whose faces you were essentially stamping with counterculture. And so some people had those traits to begin with, and so you're going to find higher numbers of those. But it's certainly not limited to historical groups that got in on the Sino-Soviet cultural program. And now again, in disguise, no, we're not that. We're so tricky, we can deny, attack, and flip. Oh, it's what is it again? I like to repeat it. Just like whataboutism was at some point, like in the past, that was considered a really effective and sneaky rhetorical tactic. In fact, some people still use it. Their operators do all the time. Talk to them about Russia invading Ukraine. But what about this? What about, U.S. and Iraq? Like, you see? So you can see them when they do that on issues like that, you know what you're dealing with. In disguise, that's how they operate. But no, they're not that. Deny, deny, deny. Why would you accuse them of that? Attack, see? So this is how they're trained. This is how torpedoes work. This is how you identify them. So whataboutism is one. The other one is, was it deny, attack? Oh, reverse. I think it is aggressor or victim and oppressor, something like that. Victim and so it's Darbo. I think that's it. So yeah, if they're doing that, either subconsciously, now see, malignant narcissists will do it without being aware that they're doing it. It's just the way they are. But you can dismiss them too, okay? Just they're piece of crap people. And then you have the people that have been trained to do that. Sort of like the pickup artists were trained with a set of tools, social tools to get into people's pants. The condom class has it get into people's heads and make them feel bad about being the right kinds of people with the right kinds of instincts. But to doubt that perpetually, because that's what that condom on their boot or their micro dinglings are all about. Deny, 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 deny. So yeah, talk about bad karma. So the bad karma is the causality of doing that is they have to sit through their own malarkey. So don't be one of those. Like if you hear there's one film that they threw in that was worth watching, watch it with skepticism. If you're 1 minute in it and there's something off-putting, you know it's trash. And so look at that. You did not waste your time, and you don't have to get aggravated about it. That would be like getting aggravated about all those machine gun bullets that mass murdering enemies have fired in the course of a day during a war operation. That's what they do. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to mess up and jam the culture. They're trying to oppress and subvert you, trying to flip you, trying to destroy you. People like you, ideas that people like you have and cherished, like beauty and harmony and strength and hope and all of those good things, they want to trample on them and put them through a sausage machine and splatter it out and poop it out into the gutter. That's what they want to do. See? Look at it that way. What does the enemy want to do? Want to rip your flag off the flagpole and stamp on it. You don't want that to happen. That would be a disturbing idea to you. But if your neighbor or someone who's dressed up as your neighbor goes and does that, you would be surprised, but then you would finally realize, maybe that's just a disguise. Or maybe that's not a person you want to have as your neighbor if that's what they do. So that's the way people need to start seeing things during these covert, let's say confusing times where people are pretending to be one thing and then engaging in, what is it, Davo or something like that. Keep messing up these acronyms. At some point I'll get it, but just like whataboutism, they use it. There they are. The cultural war criminal and cultural war operator, affiliated with the International, and their philosophical underpinnings is critical theory, which of Ken is very elusive because they don't want to outright state that they want to trash the culture for inverted moral reasons or irrelevant reasons. Historically, memory war, alternative history reasons. They don't want to openly state that because then it could be openly refuted. So it's already a form of covert rationalizations that they are employing. So yeah, open to anyone with no morals, looking for a buck, and willing to conform. So chicken coopism is a big part of it. There's a reason why cultural civilizations didn't include chicken coopism into their programs. Like there was chicken coopism, then there was culture, but they like to try to conflate the two. That's cultural jamming as well. You see, you heard that sound? Like the weed whacker, that's noise pollution. They do the same thing with culture. So you're trying to talk, they'll come in with a team of people with weed whackers, cultural weed whackers. Wah, 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 I can't talk. That's what they're trying to accomplish. So, Ukraine, for example, 1940s, when Bulgakov was around. There's no culture officially in zones that they dominate. You could say Philadelphia since 1985, something like that. There hasn't been any culture there. There's been people that have painted murals on dilapidated buildings. You have narrative people. You have radical leftists with some stories, but nothing that even a curator would go back through the rubble heap to pull out. And Ukraine 1940s, officially they had cultural institutions, and unofficially there was nothing but pravda. Now, I don't want to say that there was nothing going on. It was just suppressed and it wasn't publicly available. It was hard to find. And maybe some people, some real scientists, like real cultural people, during the brief time in which Ukrainians were able to try to come to terms with the cultural atrocities that were committed against them, that are documented, that they were able to find more people that were worth curating. It's just look at the volume. So it went from just an amazing amount of exuberant artistic expression to a trickle to here or there to scorched earth kinds of results. So that's what they do. That's what a blob is. A blob is just a substitute. It's a synthetic. Keep the appearance of the thing running, but not delivering anything but toxic waste, essentially. Just completely forgettable, non-entity, annoying cultural jamming, like noise. Right? Music is noise, and it's a type of noise, so let's just make noise instead. Call it music. But you don't like it? Yeah, you're stuck in the past. You're the person who doesn't know what good is. Right, there we come back. What is it, Darvo? We're not the oppressor class. You're the oppressor class historically. alternative history narratives. Who would do that? Well, very despicable people. So let's get back to the big picture. The big picture, I talk about 1984 in a certain sense, but see, you got to think about how they're doing it technically. So you have to add Brave New World type of things to it. So if you, I think 1984, I mean, it does have some insight to how men and women deal with each other. Like, basically, women are agents of the state and decapitated culture in many cases. They're just told what to do and are the substitutes of the real thing. But I think Brave New World goes into more detail, like how distorted and perverted and retarded and inverted the whole male-female kind of sociology becomes under despotic conditions, where they walk around with the man pants on. You can't think of them as women. They're not women. They're something a lot more than that, buddy. Yeah, those type of women. So they're the ones in captured institutions, mostly just free riding. And if the boss comes in and tells them they did something wrong, whoa, there's a flurry of things that happen then. But as far as producing anything other than duds, that's not really what they're meant to do. But yeah, some are on board. But vanity. Like if you go back to Agrippina, that was the mother of Nero. It's worth a study. A lot of them are really convinced that they're God's gift to creation and that they were historically oppressed for no reason at all, and blah 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 blah. So they're no good, but they'll be invited to those cultural events I was talking about, those atrocities that are basically just documents for future generations to look at in horror with. But just think they have to sit through those stinky things. So it's really somewhat a paradox. There is some humor in that. There is some karma in it. But yeah, we go through historical epochs. So Ukraine is a good example. So there was a great flourishing. Then they had the kibosh put on them. Then there was a time of scorched earth, essentially, with steppe-infatuated stooges and dogmatists and condom classists. And then there was a rebirth, and now it's going back to the other way. So look at that, as below, so above. So in the small picture, you can see that as a small picture of the West, and now it's being applied to the big picture. So, but with similar methods and then similar results, you get nothing but duds and nothing coming from a culture that used to be a good place. Wow, that's why it's the management and the people there. Get rid of them. Start over with new people without condom class dynamics, and you'll have a reforestation of the degraded landscape. It's great if you have a team of cultural people that know how to do that, but it can be done. You just look at Scotland in many cases, although it's being deforested culturally right now. At least in the natural landscape, there are some reforestation projects going on, and they are somewhat successful, and they keep refining the process, and they keep getting better results. So that's the way to think of culture, and to think of the people that would like to just clear cut that timber and put a parking lot there. That's the other contingent that cultural people have foisted off on them, thanks to globalists and their ideas of humanity that really the Brave New World brings across in a less horrific way. I think Orwell was exposed more to the sadistic side of the coin, whereas 1984 is more just the perverted, inverted, and nicety nice, oppressive, suppressive, clowny, sec boozist kind of psychological side of the coin. So yeah, I mean, and the other thing is don't let that get you overly down. Like again, don't adopt doomerism because of that. It's just these are changing forms and conditions, and the people involved in oppressing, suppressing, and inverting culture, the karma for that is just catastrophic for them personally. And of course, it does have a trickle down effect on us all, which is pretty depressing if you get caught up in it. But look, there's still a lot out there. Like I said, we have so much more access to ancient materials now, for example, Linear B, that it's all about curation. And unfortunately, contemporariness is not where it should be, but these are the reasons why. So just wrap your heads around it. We don't get, it's not Christmas every day in this dimension, but there's still a lot of gifts out there, and there's precious gifts, there's precious moments with precious people, even if they're people from the past. All of that is very precious. And to not have gratitude for that is a terrible oversight and a terrible mistake, and it need not be done. Just even if you have to cozy up with 3 books, pick the best 3 you have access to and reread them. Don't have that materialist idea or acquisitional, oh, I have this book, I just read it, and I got everything out of it. No, you didn't. You didn't even scratch the surface. Good books should be reread probably at least twice a year, if they're good. Because you forget and the book changes because you change and you gain even more insight from it. And so that's just what we have to do, people. And we have to fight the good fight, and we have to endure when we must. And just celebrate when someone of the good side makes it through under these adverse conditions, because that really is part of the hero's journey. That's what makes heroes heroes. That's what makes their accomplishments all the more glorious. So yeah, man deserts, cultural deserts, they sort of go hand in hand, and let's just hope this is periodic for a lot of places, and that who knows, maybe there'll be a big tidal wave and then just wipe them all out. Anything can happen. Maybe enough people will put 2 and 2 together. People will start fortifying themselves. How about cultural fortification, or mobile culture, or moving target culture type thing? Because, institutional culture looks like it's not going to make it if they're able to continue their rampage, their unopposed rampage through civil society. But again, raising awareness. Again, any movie's supposed to be new. The casting's off, the text is off, the dialogue's off, the purpose is off, the idea's off. Don't even give it a microsecond more time than you need. That'd be like, hey, listen to this weed whacker. Hey, wait a second, you listen to it for 1 minute? We want you to listen for 2. This movie is 3 hours long. Just of a weed whacker. I think some artists did that. No. That's what a stupid sadist would have you do. Don't waste a minute on it. It's not good, doesn't look good, doesn't have a good vibe. The people are messed up around it. Like I said, every artist, every filmmaker, casting's one of the first things they mess that up. It's not a film. It's a political agitprop. That's the way you need to see it. And I would say right now, that's like 90% at least in the West right now. So is that pretty bad? I'd say so. 90%, maybe 90, again, 95, 99%. I don't know. See, it's so radioactively toxic at this time. It's like, how close can you get to that without wanting to puke? So you got to figure out different strategies. Like, again, maybe there's a small circle of people that don't let blatantly agitating things in their vicinity, and then they do talk to other people that feel the same way, and you might be able to cut down the level of agitprop you're exposed to maybe 5%. If you can do that, you're in a very good position. I think there should be 5% openness for new things, but unfortunately, yeah, in these days with this attack vector, you need to have those shields up, because that is what's in play. Despite them denying, deny, attack, flip, you're the bad person. Remember that. When they do that, just smile. There's no point in continuing. It's just limiting exposure. That's all you can do in radioactive conditions.